Hello everybody, and welcome to the Spookathon Wrap Up 2016. The first thing I want to say is thank you to everyone who participated in the Spookathon. I mean, that's the first thing I've got to touch on because the response to Spookathon completely exceeded mine and the rest of the hosts' expectations. There were over 100 Spookathon TBR videos, constant tweets. There were so many tags on Instagram, people posting amazing photos of their TBRs, tagging us in books, asking for book recommendations. I mean, the amount of just participation and interaction was awesome. And we would have still done the Spookathon if no one was really interested because we all like thrillers and we wanted to read our books anyway. But the fact that you guys got involved, was stellar. So I did daily vlog my entire week. So if you want to watch those, you can, although those who did watch know that I'm a mom and I work full time and half of my days are just running errands and just, complaining about how I haven't read anything, looking like a hot mess. And then the last 5 minutes of the vlog of every day was me reading a whole bunch and doing sprints and stuff. But for those of you who do not want to watch 7 straight days of me looking like a hot mess, I wanted to go ahead and do a little wrap up for you guys. So as you know, there were 5 challenges, and I succeeded in all the challenges because I made sure I chose books that suited other challenges because I knew I wasn't going to read 5 books. So the 5 challenges were to read a thriller, read a book with red on the cover, read a word with a spooky word in the title, read a 2016 release, and read a book with some sort of paranormal creature or character. So I read 879 pages. I only got to read 3 books, but at least 2 of them were substantially sized. And the books are no secret. Here are the books. There's no secret. It was in my TBR and my daily vlogging. So these are the 3 books. I'll tell you a little bit about how I thought about each of them. And the first book that I read this month was The Telling by Alexandra Sorowi. As you know, this was a buddy read between the 3 of us, and we did host a giveaway for this book for a signed copy. And it was cool because we read this together the very same time, the first 2 days, and we were almost exactly in the same parts of the book the entire time. We all finished the book within an hour of each other. I will say that I think that there was some clever writing here. It's about a girl whose brother dies. Pardon me. And she ends up, in the aftermath of his death, she joins up with a new group of friends and they had to figure out what happened to him. It's very 1990s horror movie, and if you're familiar with that genre, you'll know exactly kind of how this book is set up. It wasn't a bad way. It was kind of almost nostalgic because I love those kind of movies back in the day. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I thought the ending was a good twist. The thing about the ending is because it's contemporary realistic thriller, there's only so many ways that the book can end. There's a definitive mystery throughout the entire book, but because we're set in reality, there's only so many ways the book could end. So the entire time my mind was reeling through all the different possibilities. So when the end happened, and one of those possibilities was true, it wasn't like a, oh my God moment because I considered it already, even though I did not think that was what was going to happen. I feel like I was misled the entire book. I thought that I was smarter than the author and I had figured out what was going on, and it was so obvious. The entire time I'm just like, let's get to the end so I can see if I'm right, and I was wrong. So that was good enough for me, so I gave this book a 4-star. The next book I read was Disappearance at Devil's Rock by Paul Tremblay, and this was my most anticipated book for the entire readathon. I've been waiting to read it since May because I love Paul Tremblay, and I buddy read this with Paige. So this book is about a 13-year-old boy, Tommy, who goes missing, and he was in the woods in the middle of the night with his friends, and that's all we know. And so it's a matter of are the boys hiding something? Do they know more than they're letting on? And it's a matter of the mother and the detective and the boy's younger sister to try to piece together what they know and what they're learning about who Tommy was and his friends to kind of figure out what the heck happened to him. And I gotta say, I ended up giving it a 3.5, which is not what I thought I would give it. I thought I was gonna give it at least a 4 to a 5-star rating because I love his work. And I will say, the writing was amazing. The skill of the writing and the ability to zoom in and out of the different characters' perspectives, like in the same page. It wasn't like this chapter is designated for this person's perspective, this chapter is for this person's perspective. I felt like as a reader, I was hanging out above the scene, and we were zooming in and out of different people's perspectives within like paragraphs of each other. So you were constantly seeing everyone else's thought process, and their characters were so distinct. And Paul Tremblay has a gift of writing like adolescent kids. In his first work, Head Full of Ghosts, he was able to write from an adult perspective as well as a preteen young girl. And in this book, he wrote not only from 3 different teenage boys, but a preteen girl and a mother. And they all felt authentic and real. And it's funny because even though he's an adult male, I have yet to read a book from him that really has any perspective of an adult male. And I think he doesn't sound fake, he doesn't sound forced, his writing is spot on. However, what messed me up a little bit on this book was I think there were too many ideas, and the book could have gone in so many different ways, and I feel like there were, it was throwing paranormal stuff out at you. It was throwing like satanic things out at you. It was throwing realistic things out at you. And that was exactly what happened in Head Full of Ghosts. There was a lot of different elements, and only one of them was really the case. But I think it worked better in that book than this book. I feel like when the ending came, it was like this big build up, and then I didn't really know. It kind of, the ending felt very weak to me, which kind of marred my reading. The very end, there's this exchange, these like typed up interviews from police interrogations that you're reading pages and pages of these interviews. And that was such an exciting part of the book. But as it wrapped up, you kind of really figured out what's going on. Although you don't really ever figure out what's going on. There's a lot left to be openly interpreted, which I think in some ways can be a good thing. But I feel like in this book, I feel like there was an extra chapter that should have been at the very end of the book, but was ripped out, and not really in a good way. But I will absolutely still forever and always read anything that he puts out because I think he writes sensationally. And the last book of the readathon I read was Carrie by Stephen King. You all know what Carrie's about. It's not a mystery. It's been out since the 70s. There's been 2 films about it, so I don't need to tell you about what the plot is. I think that it was a great way to end the readathon. Stephen King is my favorite author, and Carrie was his first novel, and I've never read it, which is like, that was just so weird to me. So I said, I gotta get Carrie. It helped that it was very, very short. I thought it was really cool. It was very similar to the film, but there were a lot of things that weren't included, and a lot of things that as I'm reading it made sense in the movie. And I was like, oh my god, that never happened in the movie, but because I understand some of the backstory, that makes more sense, which is, of course, a lot of the books are always better than the movies. Yeah, no. I mean, this is a 4-star read for me. It wasn't like a sensational 5-star, but it was great. I think I read it in a day. It kept me going, and it was perfect classic Stephen King, and I loved it. So as far as the challenges go, read a thriller. They're all considered thrillers. Read a book with a spooky word in the title. I got Devil. Read a book with red on the cover. That was Thinner. Read a 2016 new release. That was both of these books, and a book with a paranormal creature or character. I chose Carrie because she's telekinetic. We will absolutely be doing the Spookathon again next year. We had so much fun, so I hope you participate in Spookathon 2017 come next October. And just, once again, thank you guys so much. Let me know what your final count was. Like, how many books did you read? What did you read? Even though Halloween is, like, upon us, and spooky season is kind of coming to a close, I read thrillers all the time, all year long. So if I can get some good recommendations, you kind of know what I read based on like what you've watched of me forever and the books that I've been reading. Let me know kind of what else is out there. I might be able to pick something up if I get into a lull and I'm like, what do I read? That's where you guys come in. All right, so that's it, guys. Once again, you're amazing. I had a great time, and we'll see you next year. Bye!